All right, today I'm going to be removing all the tile floors. So the tile in this room is, I don't know, it's just weird. I don't understand it. It's not white, it's not red. Here, let me show you. It's just so strange. It's got like this red hue, almost like an orange blush, pinky hue to it. And I don't know, it's just dirty and kind of weird looking. So it's gotta go. And I need to make it as smooth and clean as possible, so that way when we put in the new tile, it goes on super easily and there's no like weird bumps or anything in the way. You can see how there's some like weird wood panels on both sides, and that's for a reason. It's because on this side, where this wood panel is, used to be a step into the house. So when I took out the step, the tile, there was obviously no tile, so I just kind of covered it up with a piece of wood so that way it was flat with the rest of the tile, and then we covered it with carpet. On this side, over here, there were cabinets that were up against the wall. When you took out the cabinets, there was no tile below it. And then I think over here, I needed to take out the tile so that way I could put in a new door frame because I redid this door. Now we need to get all the rest of the tile. Let's get to it. Taking out tile is a messy job. There's really no other way around it. Tile is designed to be tough, so removing it is even tougher. I brought out the beefy hammer drill and set it up with a chisel bit. Once I gouged into the first tile, that's it. There's no going back. Even with the power tool, it's still a big chore to remove it all. I'm basically chipping away at it, hoping to find those pieces that come up in larger sections. This job is super dusty too, so a respirator is a necessity. When all the tiles had been chip free, I had to clear them out. En masse, it's quite a bit of weight. Too much to throw away all at once, so for now, I used my wheelbarrow to pile it up in the back of the yard. After removing the tile and sweeping up the dust, there's now this thick paper stuck to the concrete. It seems like tar paper. There's thin set still stuck to the paper too. In order to have a clean surface for new tile, all this has to go. I need clean, flat concrete. Now, I figured out a really simple solution to remove this, but I'm going to show you all the struggles I went through before getting there. There are several processes that straight up do not work for removing this paper. First thing I tried was this scraper bit for the hammer drill. It seemed to work a little bit, but it wasn't removing the material cleanly. This would not be practical for the entire floor. Next, I got this diamond face grinder wheel, thinking I could grind off all the paper. It was advertised as being able to clean stuff off concrete. I gave it a shot, but all it really did was melt the paper, gunk up the wheel, and overheat the grinder. Worth a shot, but this was not the solution to the problem. At this point, instead of struggling even more, I decided to move on to other aspects of the renovation and would come back to this later. Over those few weeks, while working on other things, I discovered some products that could assist in removing this stuff. This floor adhesive remover literally describes my problem. It says to apply liberally, so I dumped the whole bottle on the ground and spread it around with a paint roller. Then I let it sit for a few hours to soak in. I picked up this manual floor scraper to use in conjunction with the chemical product. I expected this to work. It was kinda removing the material, but still not great. With the adhesive remover, it was super gunky and just made a mess. Since I wasn't going anywhere with this, I had to step it up to the next level. I rented a heavy-duty floor stripper to bring some serious power into the job. Though I only used this thing for about 4 minutes before bailing because it was worse than before. I had a different kind of chemical floor remover, so I poured it on a small area and used a stiff bristled brush to hopefully scrape it in a little bit better. This is where things get interesting. While waiting for this new stuff to soak in, I made a discovery that completely changed the game. Alright, so let's take a minute and revisit where we're at. So I was struggling super hard with this floor, not being able to scrape the stuff up.
So I went through two different kinds of things. Went through the first thing, it didn't really work. I don't know why. Then I got this other adhesive remover, and I started to do a test spot, and I also rented this thing because, you know, work smarter, not harder. And then I brought out the blade thing, the scraper, the hand scraper, and I made a realization that when you get this thing, there's two sides to the blade, and when it ships, it has this like cover thing on it, and there's even like a foam thing in here, and then it also has this thing over the blade. So you would think that with all this protection on the blade, that the blade would be ready to go when you pop it off, or when you pop all the stuff off. And that's not the case. When you get it, the blade is still flipped over on the inside. So you still have to unscrew the screws here and flip the blade. And so the whole time yesterday while I was struggling, I'm doing it with the dull side of the blade. It's not even the sharp side. So and when I realized that, I flipped it. Well, I realized that when I actually went to change the blade, and then I opened it up and found out that the sharp side was still on the inside. Wasn't even using it. So when you use the sharp side, I tried it, and it just like rips the stuff off super easily. It just goes to town. So now I have this like gunky mess over here, and this thing that I rented, and I didn't even need it because I'm just gonna use this thing and go to town and rip up all the floor. So let's go ahead and do that. Make this a lot easier.
So yeah, I feel like a big dumb dummy because I wasted quite a bit of money on different chemical adhesive removers, power tool attachments, a rented floor stripper, and all I really needed to do was flip the blade the right way on this $35 floor scraper. So hopefully anyone watching this learns from my mistakes and saves themselves some money and headaches. This still takes quite a bit of work to remove the paper, but the difference is it actually works. This scraper is pretty aggressive, so I purchased an extra set of blades and changed them regularly. Half the floor had been treated with the chemicals, and half was untouched. I didn't notice any difference between the two in terms of ease of removal. The treated side just had a bunch of leftover residue that needed to be cleaned up. I purchased a simple green concentrate, under-diluted it with a 1:1 ratio, and used a new stiff bristled brush to clean the floor. I ended up making 2 passes to really make sure this was a clean surface for the new flooring. Generally, removing this floor was a difficult job, partially because it was physically demanding, but a big part of it was just figuring out the right process. I'm just glad this step is now over. Out with the old and in with the new. Okay, that's it for now. See ya.
You want me to just take a picture of you two? No.